A little distance from the city, in a quiet and peaceful settlement, lived 3 robbers. Their cunning lay in appearing like ordinary people. Simple attire, a gentle demeanor, and seemingly virtuous personalities. The villagers considered them respectable and righteous. Even their own families were unaware of their true nature. However, the reality was that these 3 would venture out in the dark of night to commit robberies in distant areas. And after completing their heists, they would return to their settlement before dawn. These 3 were not just thieves, but also close friends. Their friendship was such that they never abandoned each other in times of sorrow or joy. If any difficulty arose, they would face it together. There was such harmony between them, like 3 pieces of a heart that could never be separated. One day, the 3 friends sat together and devised a new plan. They had heard that very rich people lived in a distant area, their homes filled with gold, silver, and valuable items. Greed awakened in their hearts. They thought that if they pulled off one big heist, their fortune could change overnight. They wouldn't have to commit small thefts anymore, nor would they have to risk danger every night. The 3 deliberated thoroughly, formulated a plan, and finally resolved to undertake this dangerous yet greed-filled endeavor. The next morning, they left their homes, telling their families they were going in search of work, and set off towards that wealthy city. This journey was not easy. The city was far away, a day's tiring journey, but they did not lose courage. When they reached the city, there was no sign of weariness on their faces. Instead, such innocence and honesty shone through that anyone who saw them would immediately trust them. The 3 friends, upon reaching the city, stayed at an inn. They sat there and ate a simple meal, but only one thought revolved in their minds: the heist of that night that could change their fortune. After eating, they sat silently, waiting for the darkness of night. Time passed, the sun set, and darkness enveloped the sky. When the night deepened and silence fell, the 3 quietly rose and, according to their plan, headed towards a specific house. They had observed it from a distance during the day. It appeared to be an old but luxurious house. They silently surrounded it, surveyed the surroundings, and listened carefully to determine how many people were inside.
After a short wait,
An investigation. They estimated that there weren't many people in the house, and this was the opportune moment to carry out the robbery. They slowly opened the door and entered. Their eyes moved with every step. Their hearts pounded, but they were confident. They began searching for money, jewelry, and valuable items. After searching several rooms, they found an old woman in one room, deeply asleep. She seemed quite aged and was completely unaware of what was about to happen. The thieves quietly continued searching the remaining rooms. Finally, their eyes gleamed in one room. In a large chest, they found valuable items and a bag filled with gold coins. The goods appeared new and precious. A sparkle of joy and greed appeared in the eyes of all 3, as if their efforts had paid off. But unaware of what was about to happen to them, they remained engrossed in their robbery. Therefore, without wasting any time, the 3 thieves quietly took all the valuable items out of the house in the dark of night. They were very cautious so that no one would know. They tied all the gold coins, jewelry, and valuable items onto the horses they had brought with them and left the city in the darkness. Heading back towards their settlement, however, a new problem now confronted them. They had so much loot and money that it was difficult to hide. They entered the settlement like this, everyone would question where so much wealth came from in just one day. The risk of their theft being exposed increased, and now they didn't know where or how to hide all this wealth. Before entering the settlement, the 3 thieves saw a desolate and abandoned ruin that had been empty for years. There, they hid all the valuable items. They entrusted the bag full of gold coins to one of their companions and placed the rest of the goods in a secret corner of the ruin so that no one would suspect. After that, the 3 separated and went to their homes. Signs of disappointment and weariness were on their faces, as if they had found no work and returned empty-handed. They told their families that they had tried hard but found no employment, so they had returned. One day passed silently, but that night, the companion who had the bag of gold coins opened it out of curiosity. When he started counting, he was astonished. The bag contained exactly 1,000 gold coins. This was a very large sum, and his heart filled with joy. He counted the gold coins again, and when he examined the bag thoroughly, he found a letter inside. The letter was very strange. It contained words and secrets that were not only surprising, but life-changing. This very letter was going to transform that thief into a successful merchant. As soon as the robber opened the bag of gold coins and took out the letter, a strange anxiety appeared in his eyes. He began to read the letter, and after only a few lines, his hands started trembling, his heart pounded. And in a state of fear and remorse, he sat on the ground. All the goods, all the gold coins, vanished from his sight. The letter read, "My dear daughter, I don't know where you are now. Your father has also passed away from this world, and I am also taking my last breaths. I have kept all my and your father's savings, money, and belongings for you in that specific room. Whenever you come, this is your dowry from us. Take it, get married, and live your life happily. Your marriage broke only because of poverty." Thinking about this, my heart died every day. That's why I sold everything I had and bought the best things for you and kept the gold coins. My dear daughter, I will die, but you should live your life happily with this wealth. My dear daughter, poverty is a very bad thing. Otherwise, I would have wanted to do a lot for you. Your unfortunate mother. After reading this letter, remorse filled the robber's eyes. The weight of the gold coins now felt like a burden to him, and a strange ache arose in his heart. This letter brought tears to the robber's eyes. His heart trembled, and he uncontrollably began to cry. He sat on the ground for a long time, looking at the bag filled with gold coins, as if it were the burden of a sin. At that moment, he remembered his mother, the mother who had raised him. He thought, if this were my mother's letter, if this were my sister's dowry and some robber came and took it, what would I go through? This thought filled his heart with regret and repentance. Somehow he spent the night, and as soon as morning broke, he went straight to his friends. His face clearly showed worry, shame, and seriousness. He told his companions everything and took the letter out of his pocket and read it aloud to them. Then he said, "I'm taking these gold coins and all the goods back. This is not ours. It is a mother's last hope." Upon hearing his friend, he stood silently, but a storm raged in his heart. One of them stepped forward and said, "No, absolutely not. If the Qazi finds out that you had all this, your hand could be cut off. And since we all brought this together, if you return it, our share will also be wasted, and we will never tolerate that." The other immediately agreed, "We don't have to return any of this. Fate has given it to us. Are you crazy to return such valuable goods and gold coins for the sake of a letter?" But the person who had read the letter spoke very gently and truthfully, "Okay, if that's your decision, then I will pay both of your shares from my own pocket. If the Qazi's punishment comes upon me, I will accept it. But I cannot bear the tears of a mother and the deprivation of a helpless daughter. I may be a sinner, but I am not shameless or heartless. If I don't return these goods, believe me, I will go mad. Every night, this letter, these words, will tear my heart apart." In short, without caring for his two friends' consent or displeasure, he put all the goods back on the horse, took the bag of gold coins, and set off alone towards the city. He traveled all day. Despite his exhaustion, his heart felt light, as if he was shedding a great burden. Finally, in the evening, he reached the city where it had all begun. He started searching for the same old house in the alleys. After a long search, he found the house. He was sure that there was no one in this house except the old woman, so he went straight inside. But as soon as he stepped in, he heard the sound of a girl crying from a room. Fear arose in his heart about what was happening. Seeing the girl weeping bitterly in the room, he thought that perhaps this was the girl for whom the letter was written. But after investigation, it was found that this girl was not the old woman's daughter, but a neighbor who was the only caretaker of the deceased. Therefore, the robber quietly put all the items back one by one in the same room. He also placed the bag of gold coins there, exactly as he had found it. He did all this with great respect and gentleness, as if returning a trust to its rightful place. During this, the crying neighbor woman was startled to see him. She asked in surprise, "Brother, who are you?" The robber replied briefly, "I am their son." The woman looked at him suspiciously and said, "But they had no son." Hearing the woman's words, the robber remained silent and said nothing. There was no need for him to reveal the truth. He knew he wasn't her son, but if he spoke the truth, he would have to face the Qazi. In short, he gathered a few people from the neighborhood, arranged for the old woman's funeral, and then stayed in that quiet house, waiting for the daughter for whom all this had been kept. It was true that he was a robber, but his heart, his nature, and the blood flowing in his veins were signs of a noble family's upbringing. Because a person's true worth is not determined by their outward appearance, but by their actions. When a person embraces humanity, makes compassion, sincerity, truthfulness, and justice a part of their life, only then are they worthy of being called the noblest of creatures. Otherwise, if they persist in evil, remain trapped in tyranny and selfishness, they become worse than animals. Therefore, the robber started living in that same house, quiet, simple, and lost in thought. He now only awaited the girl for whom all this wealth and trust were intended. He looked towards the door every day, asking the neighbors, but there was no news. Only a few days passed when, suddenly, a beautiful, distressed girl entered the house. As soon as she saw the stranger sitting in the room, she screamed, "Who are you? Where is my mother and my father?" The robber replied in a soft voice, "I am a stranger. Your mother was quite ill and passed away a few days ago." Hearing this, the girl seemed to break down. Her tears wouldn't stop. She cried out in intense grief. Seeing her condition, the robber's heart was filled, but he steeled himself and comforted her, saying, "Death is a reality. It must come to everyone. When a person grows old, leaving the world becomes their destiny. But I am angry with you. Why did you leave them in this state?" The girl silently listened to the robber's words. There was anger in his words, but in that anger, there was humanity and truth. She looked into the stranger's eyes and, for the first time, felt a similar sorrow, belonging, and pain in a stranger. The girl, with downcast eyes and a trembling voice, said very softly, "Brother, I actually went to my aunt's house in another city a year ago with my parents' permission. At that time, my father was perfectly fine. Perhaps he passed away suddenly, but since there was no contact, I didn't even get news of his death." The robber listened quietly, then took a deep breath, and to relieve himself of the burden of truth, he told her everything clearly. "I admit that I am a robber. I violated the sanctity of your home. You can punish me if you wish, or you can forgive me. The decision is in your hands." Tears again flowed from the girl's eyes, but now, along with sorrow, there was sympathy, gratitude, and a special affection for the stranger. A place for that robber began to form in her heart. When the robber started to leave, he said, "Now this house, these belongings, everything is yours. I am leaving. If you ever need anything or face a difficult time, my house is in the old settlement. Do remember me?" The girl immediately said, "No, you cannot leave me alone. The honesty and sincerity with which you returned my mother's trust are not something an ordinary person can do. If you wish, keep these gold coins and start a business here. Visit home occasionally." In short, after a short while, they both got married. He was no longer a robber. He was now an honest merchant. After some time, his two old friends from the old settlement also came to their house. They also saw his changed life, his respect, peace, and love, and their hearts also melted. They also decided to change and joined him in a lawful business. And thus a robber became a rich and successful merchant, and due to his honesty, he achieved what no one could achieve through hard work. So, friends, a great lesson is hidden for us in this story. The first and most important lesson is that one should prioritize humanity in all circumstances. If it ever feels that our benefit is coming at the expense of someone else's pain or helplessness, stopping there is the true mark of integrity and humanity. The second lesson is that Allah rewards honesty in helping others many times over. Just as that robber not only received wealth, but also a virtuous wife, his own home, and a life of respect. At the same time, he also got rid of a sinful life. The third and biggest lesson is that out of fear of Allah and for the sake of humanity, if we become a source of relief for someone and truly repent and abandon sin, Allah increases our honor in both this world and the hereafter. Therefore, we should also abandon the path of evil, and Allah will surely open the path of good. I hope you have learned a lot from this story. If you want to listen to more such instructive stories, please subscribe to our channel and make sure to press the bell icon. And if possible, please like and share this video. Thank you for your cooperation.